Welcome back, everybody, to the League of Interest family. Thank you once again. And we've got our officially, 2024 kicking off with our first lot of 2024 reviews. We've got the Bulldogs, the Cronulla Sharks, the Cowboys, and the Penny Panthers to preview in this week's episode. So hopefully that's your team. If not, we'll make sure we entertain, give you our expert opinions as well. Adam, different location or different background, should I say, for you this week? Any reason for that?
Yeah, it's like I went to the soccer on the weekend Unite rounds. I watched a bit of that there, concept of obviously Magic round, and I just feel like I've ran into a brick wall since. I just thought I'd move into a brick wall this week.
Jez, how's your week been, mate? Or should I say, hang on, should I say producer Jez, everyone? That's what he's known as now in 2024. He's officially our producer now.
Only during school holidays. If you want stuff done, you've got to give me a heads up at least a week. But no, I went to Canberra over the weekend and can report the nation's capital. Bit boring.
Is that the first time you've been there since Year 6 camp? Can I just ask that question? Because I haven't been back.
No, we normally go through when we go on our snow trips. So I have called into Canberra and visited various cafes and whatnot. But no, we're visiting family, and that was definitely the highlight, was seeing those guys because Canberra Zoo was pretty good, actually. The young fella got a bit out of that. That was pretty fun. But yeah, it's not the place to be, I'll tell you that.
Did you run into it at the zoo, abusing the animals, or?
No, it was all family friendly.
Oh goodness me! What was the best thing you've seen at the zoo? What was the best animal for those who haven't been to Canberra Zoo like myself?
The rhinos were pretty cool. You can get up pretty close to the rhinos, and then the giraffe. Oh, but the best thing. All right, let's go off. Is it 9 o'clock yet?
Yeah.
The lions. So we were there eating our morning tea, and we look over. The lions are in their den, just beautiful. Anyway, the male lion gets up. The female gets into position. The male gets up, all proud, ready to go. Mrs. is on the lioness's back, gives it its best on the back. Nothing happening here, and then just flops off as if like, I'm done now. Thank you very much. And the lioness was, let's just say, disappointed.
I'm very, very surprised the lioness didn't have a headache or something, to be honest. I wasn't tired. That's usually how it works. So it's different in the animal kingdom.
Well, he took his chance and missed. So he missed big time. But he was spent.
Oh, goodness me.
Do the animals bite at Canberra Zoo?
Do they what?
Do they bite? Is there any biting happen at animal zoos at Canberra Zoo?
Oh, I think the lion had to put a bit of a hold on there, but again, it missed.
Because I did hear they lost their star attraction in Jack Byton this year. That's all. So
yeah.
The jokes have come back this week, guys. He started very well. I think it's fair to say it went slowly downhill last week, and I think this week he started right at the bottom. So the only way he's up, he's learned his lesson from last week. The only way is up, but we've actually managed somehow to get into animal porn. So if that is down your alley, you are very, very excited by the start of this show. So, and talking about that, let's get on to our first team, the Bulldogs. So this is for the segue was I tried it there. Let's quickly look at the gains and the losses. I mean, quickly. Probably take me about half an hour to just read these names out. So you could see for those YouTube viewers, and special shout out to you guys. The page is actually growing quite rapidly over on YouTube. So I really appreciate everyone there liking, subscribing the videos. So obviously the main attraction, Stephen Crichton, and the late recruiting Josh Curran are probably the two I'm most excited about, if I'm being honest. I think Connor Tracy's a pretty good signing from the Sharkies as well. And then there's a whole heap of 14s that we've all seen. Drew Hutchinson, you've got your Kurt Manns, Jamin Salmon, Blake Taff. The list goes on. Jake Turpin. Getting a bit tired reading all these names out. Then, obviously, the big talking point, Bronson Sherry has come back into the league after, I think it was a 4-year ban he got. So this is his first year back from it. He is looking quite big. If that equates to rugby league fitness, I'm not too sure. But, boys, just in that gains column there, anyone that really sticks out apart from the obvious Stephen Crichton?
Josh Curran, I think that's such a good pickup. He was heart and soul when he plays, so it'd be good to see him have a go in there. I think Kurt Mann's a bigger loss than people are making it out to be. He played quite some pivotal roles and across many positions, so he can fit in absolutely anywhere. And I was a bit upset when I heard that he was leaving, especially to go to the Bulldogs. But Bronson and Sherry, I think that's going to be the story of the year, to see what he does, where he actually fits in, and if he gets any games. Did you see when he was during his ban, he wasn't even allowed to play OzTag. They were that strict on him that he was not even allowed to play social OzTag. So this guy's looking, chomping at the bit. I'm surprised he's actually made his way back. So full credit to him. That's a long time to be out of the game and then make it back and then get picked up by an NRL club. So that's pretty cool.
It doesn't mean he's going to be any good.
Not the getting banned. That's not the cool part, obviously.
Yeah. It doesn't mean he's going to be any good. Like, it's a big risk to take from the Bulldogs. And you look at some of these signings and they scream of desperation. Like, we know they've been looking for a half for quite a while. Like, look, Burton's not a halfback. And you turn around and look at all these players that they have signed, and the joke's about 14s. You've got, Hutchison that can play 6 or 7 or 3. You've got Kurt Mann that can play 9, 6, 7, fullback lock. Jamin Simmons a half, second rower. Tracy can play in halves. Blake Taft's a half. Turpin's a hooker. Like, some of the signings they made, they just make zero sense, and they're chewing up valuable cap space for a team that was meant to be under pressure for salary cap stuff last year. I know they've obviously lost when you look at the loss, but when you look at those losses over there, there's not a lot of money. I think Tavita Pangai Jr. would have been on a lot of money. We haven't got to them yet, but just what they've signed, they've got two good signings, in my opinion. They've got Stephen Crichton, obviously, he's going to be good if he can play fullback. And they've got Josh Curran, who I've rated for quite a while, actually. I was kind of devastated in kind of my team when he was leading the Warriors. But besides that, they've got, I'll say it, a lot of fringe reserve graders, not stars of the teams they come from. And a bloke that's been out for 4 years who's played, as Jeremy said, not even OzTag. He hasn't played any sport. All he's done is post on social media his gym routines. And I'll tell you this much, he hasn't been off the roids that whole time because he didn't have to get tested until he come back. He hasn't lost any size from what he put on. So
he looks quite big, doesn't he?
It's going to be interesting how his body develops in the next, obviously he started preseason now and he's getting tested now and stuff, but in the next 3-4 months, how his body actually holds up to the conditioning of rugby league, because he could flop, massively could flop. We've seen, not so much for the same things, but we've seen players go away on, their Mormon missions and stuff like that and not come back the same players. Like, anyone that spends time out the game. So who says a bloke that's had to change his lifestyle completely is going to be any good?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And quickly, just a special shout out to Zero Tackle once again for helping us out with some of the lists here. You can see in some of the graphics. So you can see down the bottom, once again, YouTube, the re-signed and the off-contract for 2024. Thanks to our lovely producer, Jez. So he's put this masterpiece together for you guys to all witness.
I'm a bit annoyed
tonight.
because the font has gone longer. It doesn't do it on the other slides, but hey, what do you want from me, all right? I'm on holidays.
The losses, Adam did mention it. Adam, do you want to run through? You did start to talk about the losses.
I want to run through them.
Yeah,
sure, why not? I'll run through the Bulldogs.
Give me a break.
No, you know how bad I'm with names. So Paul Alamotti off the Penrith, Jake Averillo on the Dolphins, Camille Brown Hull, Brendan Clark released, Andrew Davey obviously was there at the start. There went to Parramatta, then retired. Kyle Flanagan Dragons, Michael Gabriel Sharks, Jaden Ockenbaugh Hull. Tavita Pangai Jr. retired /boxing / we'll see him at Brisbane halfway through the year. Frank Pele Hull, Josh Reynolds retired, Luke Thompson Wigan, and Corey Waddell has gone to Manly. So
there's a couple that have gone to Super League, Adam.
There is. It's where they belong. But I want to touch on one in Luke Thompson, who doesn't belong there. We never saw the best of Luke Thompson. And
no, we didn't.
Kind of disappointed. They obviously brought him on a lot of money over, but would have loved to see him at one of the bigger teams, one of the more successful clubs with better players around. Because let's be honest, the Bulldogs have been nothing but trash for the last few years. And rebuilding, we'll call it. And this is how you rebuild. The only difference they've done between Parramatta and the Bulldogs rebuilding is these losses, players, weren't put up on a big screen to the players and said, you're not here next year. But look, Luke Thompson, he's a huge loss compared to what he could have offered. Besides that, obviously the two young centres, it's strange what they've signed and what they've lost there. Crichton's apparently going to play fullback. And Who else was the other centre signed? Connor Tracy can play in the centres. You think he plays centres, but both of these centres were probably their best up-and-coming players last year. So the fact they've let them go because they've demanded more money shows the salary cap squeeze they're meant to be under. And you look at the players obviously signed. I don't think a lot of them be on massive money because there's quite a few looking for opportunities there. But like I said, they haven't lost a lot. But I think, probably those two centres and obviously the experience there of Thompson as well.
I'm shocked that they actually let go of Jake Averillo. I think he's got class written all over him. I think we're going to see that this year at the Dolphins. And not just that, but off the field, he seems like a really good guy as well. Like he's not one of those troublemakers and the likes. So it's a head scratching one because all the talk of the Bulldogs is about the culture and things like that and getting people to buy in and stuff. So maybe did something happen behind the scenes with him. I'm not too sure, but he just doesn't feel like that sort of player. Doesn't seem like that sort of player that would sort of kick up stones and the like. And Wayne Bennett won't be copping that either. So
I was going to say it'll be interesting to see him under Wayne Bennett. I think Wayne might get the best out of him.
Let's not forget he's going to be playing in the centres probably with Herbie Farmworth as well. So quite an exciting centre combination, obviously, out there with the Dolphins when we get to that team.
Fins up. What are we doing our ratings here, boys? Out of 10 for the Dogs, I've got a 6. Lots of names for both columns, but as you've already both said, it doesn't really excite me, a lot of those players. I think Crichton and Curran are obviously the standouts, and I do think Tracy in a certain extent, but I still think there's some gaping holes that they need to fix that they haven't done so yet.
Yeah, I'll go next. I'll give him a 4.5. I think if Stephen Crichton wasn't there, it's probably about a 2, to be honest. Obviously, the ability to play he can be, but just compared to the bigger ones they've lost and what they've brought in. And I guess the other big name signing there is Curran, who has a history of judiciary problems and head knocks. So there isn't too much promise there for the Bulldogs. They've been trying to buy a comp for a few years now.
Yeah, I've gone a 5 for my rating just because the amount of 14s that they've signed, and we've all touched on it. We're excited to see what Crichton can do if he's playing at fullback. I like Curran, but as Adam touched on, he's going to spend most of that on the sideline, unfortunately, through either injury or suspension. So, yeah, too many 14s for my liking when they've lost positions across the board. So, giving them a 5. Where do we think they're going to finish? Are we doing that?
Oh, yeah, we are. I'm doing that at the end.
Like
So I thought we'll use, the bracket. I don't want us to spoil our table episode where we do go through our individual tables. So I just want the brackets, which we will get to. But any positives that we can see from the Dogs? I've gone, obviously, I think there is at least a bit of depth there now for the Bulldogs. We've seen last year, as soon as they lost a couple of their first graders, it basically went to a very low level. So at least this year with some of these 14 players, they cover positions, so they can at least be competitive in a way. And I guess recruiting players, when you look at some of the names there, like the Roosters, Panthers, the Knights, the Sharks, they're all coming off sort of seasons that have been quite successful, and the Warriors as well. So they are recruiting players that have been into that winning culture. So they're bringing that over to the Bulldogs. They might not have been stars at their respective teams, but at least they know what it takes to get to that level.
Yep, I agree with all of that.
I can't think of too many positives besides what you've mentioned. The interesting thing I'm trying to weigh up here is who's going to get the 7 jersey at the end of the year to take home on presentation night, because they've been searching for a 7 for quite a while, and there's a few options there. I think we could see about 4 or 5 halfbacks throughout the year for the Bulldogs.
I think that's a good talking point, because I think we agree.
They tend to rotate through their playmakers every season.
They might bring in the Cricket Australia rotation policy.
Oh yeah, give them a rest.
Give them a rest. Loading. They'll be rested.
Yeah.
Well, there's been early rumours about Burton being a centre as well, but I don't know where that's gotten to, because they haven't really recruited a standout number 7. Like, they've obviously got Sexton there at the club. They recruited last year. But apart from that, I'm not too sure, because I think, as Adam already said, I don't think he's a 7. I don't even think Burton should be in the halves, to be honest. He should be a centre.
Contract at the end of this year.
Burton?
Sexton.
Oh, Sexton, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, they've signed him a 1.5 year deal, I believe.
So we'll see how he goes this year and if he gets another contract.
Any concerns, boys?
I'm not a Bulldogs fan, but
It's just the Bulldogs.
it's just the Bulldogs being the Bulldogs. Like I said, they've tried to sign a comp for the last few years, and it's kind of ironic that, trying to be careful how I word this, but the head of recruitment at the Bulldogs now was the head of recruitment when Parramatta did the same thing. And it's just desperation. They're desperate for a good year. They're a proud club with a good history, but they've gone about this a complete wrong way. Like, you know, if I was a Bulldogs recruitment or a Bulldogs fan, there's more players on the losses list I'd be wanting to keep than there is on the gains list that they've got.
Yep. No, I agree with that one. So let's do our finishing position. So in the brackets, so 1 to 4, 5 to 8, 9 to 12, and then 13 to 17 are the brackets. Jez, start with you.
13 to 17.
Adam?
I know you don't want me to give an exact number, but I've just got to. And it's 14. The magic number is 14 for the Bulldogs this year.
Mate, I don't. Can you not go against me? Otherwise, you'll be the one removed from the group. Think.
It had to be, because there's been all the talk about their 14s. They've got to finish 14th, don't they?
Yeah, you're floating with danger. He hasn't brought his equipment, as you can see. He's very almost naked, basically, on this video. So, and now he's disobeying some orders. So, I've got 13th to 17th as well. I know a lot of Dogs fans are probably starting to get excited, but there's still so much missing. And an area of concern for myself was just the middle forwards as well. I still feel like they're at least 2 decent middle forwards short of being able to really cement some field position and actually put pressure on sides consistently throughout a game. So they're mine for there. Let's get on to a side that's probably a little bit more exciting, a bit more to talk about in a way. It's the Cronulla Sharks. Jez, can you run us through? You can go through both the gains and losses, then we'll have a chat because there's not too much going on here.
Yeah, this one was a lot better to put together. So the gains, we've got Billy Burns from the Dragons and Michael Gabriel from the Bulldogs. So they're the gains for the Sharks.
Burns. He's been everywhere, I feel like, in about 2 years.
He has. Yeah. Came from Dragons, and before that was Panthers, and then
I think so.
Somewhere else before that.
Cowboys or something. I don't know. South
Sydney, possibly. Yeah.
He's been he's everywhere.
Seen how many jerseys he can collect. And that's him pictured down the bottom. I didn't even know what he looked like. But there you go.
Seeing if he can get through a year without an injury, to be honest.
Yeah. The losses. So we've got Wade Graham, who has retired. Oh, man, you've put me on the spot here.
Wade Graham, who's signed for the Entrance Tigers, believe it or not. That's how retired he is.
I'm going to murder this. Tapahua. Was I close?
That's why he was released.
Yeah, we'll put it.
He was released because the coach couldn't get his name right at training. He couldn't name him every week.
You're out. See you later. Matt. My goodness. Ikevalu, thank you. The Lee Leopards. Matt Moylan, again, off to the Lee Leopards. See ya. Off to the Super League. Did you predict this, Adam? Did you predict he was off to the Super League?
Matt Moylan, definitely, yes.
Yeah. And then Connor Tracy, we've spoken about. He is found himself at the Bulldogs. So not too much movement. Definitely more losses than gains, obviously. But that's the Sharks, and that's how they've done their recruitment for 2024. A lot of re-signs down the bottom. So some good names down there that have on till at least 2025, and then off contract next year. You have a look. Billy Burns is only on a one-year contract. So it's pretty much see how you go and see if you stick around. But it's pretty much the Sharkies.
Braden Hamlin-Ueli interests me in that off-contract list. I think he might be one of the ones that a few clubs might try and go for. We will see. But, yeah, I'm a bit with you. There's not too much. I'm a bit off about the Sharks this year. There's just something that doesn't feel right about him. And it starts with this recruitment for mine, because I think there needs to be a couple more in the gains and a couple more of those sort of reliable first grader type things, or just go all your eggs in one basket and go for one of those small superstars like they've done with the forward pack next year with Aiden Fanua-Blake obviously coming to the club. But from what I've heard, there is some money in the cap for the Sharks. So I'm surprised. There's obviously not much talent around at the moment, so they might be just trying to get their powder a bit dry to see who comes up. But as you said as well, re-signing list is quite large, so they've obviously focused in-house a lot as well. So, and yeah, I think it was Matt Moylan's time to move on. I just think last year he was a bit behind the pace of a first grade 5'8" and put a lot of pressure on Nico Hines. I think when Trindle did come into there late on, I think it freed up Hines a lot. Adam?
Yeah, Trindle's a 7, Hines is a 6. Hines has never been a 7. You know, that might be my opinion, even the year he won the Dally M. So they had to move Moylan on to get Trindle into the team. It doesn't matter what numbers they wear on their backs week in, week out. Trindle's going to play that controlling role of the team. It's just the natural player he is. And he's been a very underrated player for quite a number of years now. So, look, Moylan's time he was due after the Super League, as predicted. I'm against what you're saying. Obviously, they've got a few losses here, but a few that needed to go. I guess the only big loss there that's time wasn't up is Connor Tracy. As for what they've just signed a bit of depth. They didn't really need to sign anything else because the problem they had last year was fitting them all in. Probably forgetting that Wade Graham spent a lot of the year out anyway. Connor Tracy spent a lot of the year in reserve grade. Ikavalu, Jeremy's mate, Tuku, don't even know who he is. So Matt Moylan was the only one really on that list that spent regular time in first grade.
Disrespect.
Yeah, exactly right. And found himself out of the team at the end of the year anyway. So, look, I think Cronulla, they're in for another year where they've been touched on the dick anyway with the draw. So, it seems to happen every year to them. They seem to get that easiest run no matter what. So, be another good year for Cronulla of beating all the bottom 8 teams, making the finals and going out in the first week again.
So that hate mail that we've got coming in quickly from last week for Adam, just keep it coming, and I'll just keep forwarding it off to Adam.
You can't lie with facts. You can't lie with facts. Though. They've done it for the last 2 years.
They've got a pretty good draw. They've got a pretty good draw. But I like what Joel touched on with their re-signing. So they really have focused in-house. So, and again, as Adam touched on, they've gone with just a little bit of depth. They didn't have to do much recruitment. They didn't have to do much signing. But it was the curse of trying to fit everybody in. So their reserve grade was had a couple of first graders going through it. So to be able to sign these guys on until like 2025, but you got Hines until 29, so there's most of your cap. But just to focus in-house and really run with the draw that they've got, I think the Sharks, they might make it a second week, Adam, of finals.
Second week.
Isn't it a concern though? They're staying in-house, and they've done that pretty much now since Fitzy's been there. So 2 years they've had basically the same sort of team, and both years have ended the same way. Isn't it sort of the time to mix it up a bit?
In the positions that they're after, what else is out there?
But the thing is,
I would have gone Avarillo. I would have gone hard for Avarillo. I think they need a bit of strike in the centre.
He rates Talakai at centres, which I don't think anyone else does when it first started. But obviously he's made that decision there. And, his other centre, whose name has completely forgotten me, the one that
Ramian.
Ramian. Ramian's obviously, one of the strongest centres in the competition when he actually sets his mind to it. But like I said earlier, I don't think they needed to, and it's good to see a team actually. You look at that list of what they've re-signed, and quite a few of them are actually juniors coming through as well. So it's good to see a team actually putting faith in their juniors and giving them runs.
What are we rating the recruitment, guys? Adam, you can go first. You're going well with the Sharkies. Let's just keep the hate going, I guess.
No, I'm actually giving them a 7 because they've moved on everyone that needed to be moved on. A lot of clubs show a little bit too much loyalty to players and let them go out on their own terms. They've kind of, given Matt Moylan, who's been there for quite a while, a tap on the shoulder and said, off you go. Wade Graham, obviously that was his decision, but like I said, the players on that list weren't playing regular first grade, so it was time for him to go. And obviously they could have brought in a gun centre, as you said, or a gun for whatever position they needed, but they're a team that, I'm going to use that word, but they have X factor in their backline. They are a bit exciting to watch. I think their backline, their 1, 2, 5, and 3 are probably some of the biggest flogs in rugby league. The way they act, their smugness, I'm not afraid to say that. Not fans of them, Alatalo, and Katoa and Will Kennedy, but they've got a bit of excitement about it. I thought Will Kennedy was one of the best fullbacks in the game last year until he picked up a few injuries. I know it's easy when you're playing the easiest draw and picking on bottom 8 teams, but he still had a bit of excitement about him.
Jez, I'll go. I got him a 6. I'm just sort of a bit meh with them.
Yeah, I had him a 6, and it's purely on the re-signings, focusing in-house, and as Adam said, just moving on a couple of people like Moylan and saying goodbye to Wade Graham. So giving him a 6.
A couple of positives for the Cronulla Sharks for 2024. I've got down here, we mentioned it a bit earlier, the Hines and Trindle combination, which I think will be a lot more steadying for this side this year, and much better balance. As Adam said, and I 100%, 150% agree with him. Hines should be the 6, Trindle should be the 7. Even name them in the jersey so that there's no silly buggers with that. And I guess the other positive, and you can look at it as a positive, that's stable squad mentality as well. So everyone knows how they play. They've all got their roles. Hopefully, this is the year they all just level up and can do it when they need to in finals football.
Yep, and we're all just really excited to see what Billy Burns will do this year.
What injury, you mean? Well, what club he'll sign for next year?
You're on fire. Have you got any concerns for the Cronulla Sharks?
Yeah, Billy Burns. No, my biggest concern for the Sharks is that they draw again. Like I said, everyone always touches on it. They've got this easy draw, blah, blah, blah. You don't want it. Like, you want to be playing the harder team, especially at the back end of the year, and get yourself finals ready, because if you're getting your way with teams and you get to the finals and get forced to have to turn up, they've shown in the last 2 years they're incapable of doing it. So the biggest concern for them is they need to find, I'll say, a bit of mental toughness in a way. They need to get themselves up for games every week, like they're playing a top team every week, because that's the way they need to approach the finals. And they will get to the finals given the draw they've got.
Yep. Jez?
Can't say much else than what you two have said. I think I'm excited to see what Nico Hines will do this year alongside Trindle, and they should definitely be wearing their respected numbers in the right spots. So, and I think Kennedy might be in for a really big year as well. It was exciting to see him do what he did at fullback. So,
Can I touch on that? As your marquee player, they want him in the 7 because it sells jerseys. I was at Peter Wynn Score on Sunday, and outside of Peter Wynn Score, they had the Cronulla Sharks 7 with Hines on the back of it because it sells jerseys. And it's what they've become used to now when they've signed him. So he won't change out of the 7. He'll wear the 7 no matter what he's doing, what part of the team he's controlling. It's kids.
I've got a couple more. I've got a couple more concerns that hasn't been mentioned. So I just want to go through. I feel like if Hines goes down, they have a severe lack of creativity when it comes to this football side. I look at it and it relies so much. I feel like this is the most. I don't know how the best way to word this. Probably the biggest side in the NRL that relies so much on one player would be the Cronulla Sharks. I feel like for 2024, if he goes down, for touch wood, it does not happen for an extended amount of time. Even if it's an easy draw, I've got serious concerns over the Cronulla Sharks winning enough football games to get themselves into the finals. The last one would be, I feel like they've got too many one-dimensional forwards. I look at their pack and I feel like it's all the same player. And we've seen that last year. There's nothing really coming off the bench. If I was them, I'd be moving Talakai onto the bench and having him as an impact forward coming on after probably 20, 25 minutes when some players are a bit tired, and just creating a little bit of that X factor in a forwards role, and go from that. And they've got a couple of young guns in Cade Dykes and Iro as well, that are waiting to get a start in the back line. They're really, really good players. And again, they'll bring that X factor to the back line. I'm just would like to see a little bit of change up here from the Cronulla Sharks when it comes to spicing up their attack a little bit. I just feel like it hasn't been where it should have been, especially the back half of last year.
Do you think that's the forwards being punched out of a cookie cutter, or do you think it's the coaching? Like, do you think that's their tactics
Both.
of the way that they play?
Probably both. I feel like that this group of forwards that we're talking about has played the same sort of way for a while.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, how all the forwards kind of bring the same sort of energy, and I also agree that Talakai needs to come off the bench because that's their impact around that slow ruck. But I also think it might be a little bit of the coaching side of things where they might not be allowed to go off script, if per se, in terms of the forwards.
Well, look, Their locks are a prime example of that. You got Finucane or McInnes, and they're both pretty much similar players. They're going to work their asses off, but are they really going to become like we've seen like a Hopgood for the Eels last year and really help get that attacking order as well? I haven't really seen that since McInnes has gone to that lock role, and yeah,
I would love
I
to
don't
just
know.
see Dale on the field because it's been ages since he's had a consistent run of footy.
McInnes was a dumb signing for them when they made it as well. They didn't need him. They
But he made all those tackles that one time.
Yeah, exactly. That's all he has done. He's done nothing in attack for him, and like playing at lock when he's a hooker. Is
he the one that did the tackle when no one was near him and he just jumped?
I can't
Is that
remember.
McInnes last year? I think it was.
Supercoach points.
I think it was.
The Bulldogs could have used him as a 14, I reckon.
What about our finishing position for the Sharkies? I'll go first. I'll go first this one. I've got him 5th to 8th, purely off the easy draw. I initially had him in the next bracket down, but I remembered about how easy that draw is. But as I said, if they lose Nico for an extended run, I would be dropping them to at least the next level on the ladder.
Yeah, I've got them for the same reasons. I've got them in 5th to 8th, just because of the Sharks, and they always seem to just sneak into the gate.
Ditto. Nothing else to say. Same, 5th to 8th.
This is what we are here, the League of Inches experts of the show, the three of us. Great minds think alike. Let's go to the Cowboys. I'll flick over here to I thought it was me controlling it for a second there. Who are we up to? Me. So the gains and the losses, I'll go through them both once again because it's not too many names here. Jake Clifford's gone to Hull. Thomas McKaylee has sort of just become one of those journeymen once again as well. He was
from Hull.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yes, sorry. He's come to Gaines. Oh, yeah, I got ahead of myself here. Sorry, guys. Jake Clifford has come back from Hull to the North Queensland Cowboys after I think it was a 2-year break, I believe. I might be right.
Yeah, he was at the
there,
Knights
or
and he
maybe
went to
3.
Hull.
Yeah, there you go. And then Thomas McKaylee.
Halfway through last year, left the Knights, didn't he, to go to Hull?
Started, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Early on.
Now, the next one, Thomas McKaylee, I feel like he started 2 years ago at the Tigers, went to Super League, did who knows what there. I don't think he did much. Went to somewhere else, went to the Titans, and now he's gone to the Cowboys. So, don't know what to think of that one. The next one,
You're right.
he's
been to 5 clubs in 5 years.
Mate. There you go, another journeyman. Jazira Puavasi. I'm not even sure where have they signed him from, please, Jez?
There was no information as to where they got
maybe
him from.
one of those PNG guys. I think there was a talk about them signing a few PNG guys. So maybe that. And then Viliami Vailea, which I am actually very, very excited to see how he goes because it wasn't last year, it was the year before where he actually came onto the scene for the Warriors and I thought was actually quite good. He got a few injuries last year and then wasn't able to get back into that star-studded backline that was going so well for the Warriors. But he is one that could be quite a nice signing for the Cowboys. Losses, Peter Hiku's time was up in the NRL, unfortunately. He sort of lost a bit of pace last year and got found out a few times. So he's off to Hull. Sylvester Namo, Castleford, and Riley Price to the Panthers. And James Tamo has retired. So what are we making of those ones, boys?
I'll sum it up.
Everyone's excited that Clifford's come home. They put a big thing on their socials, even though it's only for 1 year. But they're quite excited that he's come back. I think the biggest concern for the Cowboys is if you have a look at the off contract at 2024. Look at some of those names in there. There are some good Cowboy names that are through there, like Granville, Cohen Hess, McLean, Townsend, and then you've got the guys that have come in that might only be on 1-year contracts. So there's going to be some recruitment issues or headaches for the Cowboys next year as well.
Could be a big moving year, I think.
It's classified as a rebuilding year, Joel. And I'm going to sum this all up in about 2 sentences. Their gains aren't good. Their losses really, they're all at the end of their career anyway. So they haven't really lost anyone too big there. the problem the Cowboys made was they overachieved in 2022 and put some of these players on contracts for one good year. Hence why this off-contract list is so huge. And it's sad. Like, that club up there, I was up there for the game last year, and how much this team means to the community up there in Townsville. How much the actual team does for the community as well. It's one of the teams you actually like to see go well. I love beating them in the prelim final, but you love to actually see them go. I think everyone's got a little bit of a soft spot for the Cowboys, but I'll give you my rating straight away and say it's about a 3.5. They won't play finals football. They're going to finish. I want to say.
Hang on. Don't jump too far ahead here.
I've got to sum it up because I haven't got much to say about them. I can't add too much more to it. 13th to 17th. They're really going to drop off this year.
Whoa! All right, look out.
So in that poll that Juventus put up around where do you think the Queensland teams are going to finish? Did you put the Cowboys as last out of the Queensland teams?
I didn't vote, but I thought it. Because Brisbane obviously be higher above. Dolphins will improve again. Titans are a team you can't really predict too much on, but I said this is a massive rebuilding year, and they get a couple of injuries to their key players. Like Townsend isn't exactly young either, so there's a lot of pressure on him now there as well. Like, I just don't think they have a lot to offer this year at all. They're not exciting at all to watch.
How many of these off-contract 2024s will be retirements? Like, how old's Kyle Felt?
Old. Jake Granville, old.
Granville?
Cohen Hess just never peaked after that first year. Tad Townsend, old. There's a few that belong in the Super League there as well.
Gordon McLean?
Townsend. Could be looking at about 3 or 4 retirements next year.
Possibly.
Oh, this year, sorry.
So it seems to be something with the Cowboys and players going 1 year too long. Their best ever player went 1 year too long, and they've consistently stuck to it since.
Oh, wow. I'll lock him in for a 6, which might be a bit nice for him, but I do like the Villia signing. I think he could be a really good player for him in the back line. And Clifford might be able to do a job and just put some pressure on Chad Townsend, where there is still, it will not go away, the whispers of Townsend moving on sooner rather than later from this Cowboys side. So I don't know what's going on with it, but there is just still a little bit of noise around that happening. Jez?
Yeah, I've got a 5, and I think this will become Jake Clifford's team, and I think they're going to try and make that happen sooner rather than later. But yeah, I dare say him pulling the reins. I think his time at Newcastle, he had some really nice patches there, but then just lost confidence, got run all over. And I think he did quite well at Hull. So he might come back with that added confidence. And I dare say that the Cowboys will be his team. So I've given him a 5, and I think that's just being nice.
For a second there, I thought you were talking about Jake Granville, and I was like, Granville, I was like, he's like 37 and a half or something. So he's in one.
Positives for the Cowboys. I think Adam sort of summed it up at the moment. I feel like this year's just, I don't know, it's a bit of an off feeling for the Cowboys, for me anyway, and it looks like for Adam as well. But I've written down their biggest positive so far is the fact they've kept Dearden now and extended his contract for a number of years. We've seen that news a few weeks ago. So I'm expecting him to really step up and maybe even take that halfback role. I think he could develop into that role quite nicely, and then Clifford become sort of a 5/8 role, and Dearden just grabs his side with his both hands for the next few years. Apart from that, again, as we sort of said for the Sharks, that stable squad, because they've kept majority of their side, it could be a good or bad thing because they did have a poor year last year.
I completely forgot about Tom Dearden, and I tracked back at everything I said. The Cowboys are going to win the comp. No, I did. I forgot about Tom Dearden for quite a while. I was trying to think who their 5'8" was, but I'll clarify that and say that I've probably been rough on 13 to 17. They might finish 9 to 12. But also, if Dearden gets injured, I think they're fucked.
Yep.
And Jake Clifford, Jeremy, he's useless. He's shit.
Oh, yeah, okay. But I just like him because he played at the Knights. He plays with heart and soul.
Yeah, he played his best footy at the Knights, didn't he? Long list of great signings for the Knights.
Do you have any other
positives?
He
looks like a nice person, okay? He just looks like a nice guy. Leave him alone.
I'd like to say I almost made it through a podcast that having a dig at the Knights, and boom, there it was.
You can't help yourself.
Nah, can't.
I've got him finishing 13-17. Sorry, Cowboys.
Hang on.
Well, we're not up to there yet.
17, you raised your eyebrows at me, and you've got him in the same.
Yeah, because I had the same. That's why I raised my eyebrows.
It was like, oh, it's a yes, not a oh.
We've jumped ahead, but I'll put mine. I've got 9th to 12th. I do think they'll just be around that sort of mark once again. I guess the only final thing I want to talk about with the Cowboys and my area of concern is the coach Todd Payton, who I thought it looked like a coach who've run out of sort of ideas last year in a way, and I think he's the coach under the most pressure. I feel like in 2024, or will he start that way? And I wouldn't be surprised, and I hate saying this for coaches, but I would not be surprised if he's the first one moved on this year if the Cowboys can't get away to a good start, because I have looked at their draw, and it is actually quite a kind draw to start with. They should get away to a decent start, but if they don't, for whatever reason, and it just gets harder and harder to draw, then I'm not too sure what will happen to his future. But yeah, just Todd Payton for mine. It looks like a guy sort of running out of ideas with a squad that's sort of, as you've all said, is aging somewhat. Maybe has plateaued a little bit. We heard about that first season where he just absolutely smashed him. Maybe that's caught up to a lot of these players.
Are we going to run odds on he's going to be the first coach sacked?
Oh, that's a big one.
As in, put our name down now, or
you just said
in
it.
the future we do a post.
The first one.
I think I'll go Todd Payton. I'll have him.
Well, I'm gonna.
The only thing is the Cowboys find it hard to recruit coaches because not many people actually want to go up there. It's too hot.
Yep. Speak. The good thing about going to North Queensland is you can drink all day and you don't feel the effects of it. Adam Martin happened in September 2022. My first cut, you've thrown a spanner in the works here.
You have.
It's a bit of a hard one. I think Ivan Cleary's skating on thin ice. Turmoil out there, Penrith. No, that's actually a really, really good question, Jeremy. That's probably the best question you've asked. It's got to be.
That's a producer in him.
Being rough on Todd Payton, in a way, I think it could be at the Bulldogs.
Oh,
like
the 5-year plan over.
Or Manly
after one.
Yeah, like Serraldo just he's built his team now for the last couple of years, and if they don't perform early on, I think he could be gone. And Gus will throw the money at Ivan Cleary. Honourable mention to Brad Arthur. Honourable mention to Brad Arthur, who could also get a mention of Parramatta underachieving in that first 10 rounds.
Yep. Kez, who you got? I feel like you've got a name ready to throw out.
I actually had Brad Arthur, just because I feel the people of Parramatta are revolting against him because it just hasn't really delivered. So I think if you guys have a couple of losses heading into the mid end of the season, I think he might be on the way out. So that's where I've put mine.
It'll be early. It'll 100% be early. If we start the year like we did last year, he'll be gone.
All I know is that Adam O'Brien,
yet. I don't want to.
Adam O'Brien is safe for the next 10 years.
For one good year.
Oh, the boys have been training really well. We're just going off last year's mentality. Anyway,
it's the perfect year if you're a big Sydney club. It's the perfect year to sack your coach if they underperform.
Mr. Bennett
and Mr. Bellamy both off contract at the end of the year. Now, if I'm Parramatta, and this is Michael's idea, but if you're Parramatta and you decide that Brad Arthur's underachieved again, you get Craig Bellamy on the phone and you say, Craig, you've done everything you can at Melbourne. You know your time's up there. You know Jason Ryall's obviously waiting to take that job. Why don't you come prove how good a coach you are, and a team by the end of 2024 probably have a 38-year drought. Show us how good a coach you are. Show us what you can do. Now, if Mr. Bellamy's up for that risk and to prove how good he is and probably get about $1.5 million for coaching that year, would you take it if you were him? No?
Yes.
Yeah, 100%. Like he's proven to be. I think Bellamy's a better coach than Bennett. To be honest, I think Bennett was very.
I was just thinking, what hat hasn't Wayne Bennett got?
Hasn't he got
Yeah.
He's got everything.
sense of humour?
No. Like what hat?
No,
So he hasn't got a Parramatta hat, has he?
He hasn't got a League of Inches hat.
For sale at the website. Use this
either,
code.
either do we.
I got a shirt, but
We'll get there.
Let's
all right,
get
we're
on
getting off track. Come on.
Let's keep going. We're on to the Panthers. This is the best thing about podcasts. You just talk footy. Last one, the Penny Panthers. Finally, a side that I think we can be positive about for 2024. It's been a dull video with some predictions. So, Adam, your favourite side. Go through the gains and losses you can probably do, actually.
Yeah, they're in trouble here. I don't think they'll make the finals this year. But Paul Alamotti, as we said, off to the Bulldogs, pictured in his New South Wales Emerging Blues jersey. Dane Laurie to the Tigers.
The only good photo I could find.
Did Dane Laurie come back and then go again?
Yeah, you're doing what I've done. They're signed to the Panthers.
Oh, yeah, they have. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Dane Laurie, he's come back. Well, you may have left Penrith.
The top where it says gains, all right? Gains means they've
I was
got
confused
them.
by that one because he's done the old back and forth, you know. Go off earn some good money elsewhere, then come back on a lower contract. Riley Price, Cowboys, Brad Snyder, Raiders. The losses there, Jack Cogger off to the Knights, and that's a huge loss away to play at the end of the year, especially the fact they've let go of Luai. Stephen Crichton to the Bulldogs, Zach Hoskins to make salary cap room to the Raiders, Tom Jenkins to the Knights, Spencer Lanu to the Roosters, and Jamin Semin, the weak gutted dog, to the Bulldogs. I believe Canberra were after him, but that was never going to happen. Look, I think we can add, and I've said this before, after 6 to 7 rounds, Jerome Luai to the Tigers to that list of losses. He won't finish the year at the Panthers. It's my prediction.
Oh, at the Tigers, that's a big one.
Yeah, well,
he won't finish the year at the Tigers.
Yeah, at the Panthers.
Wow, look out. We can't even talk about this list. Adam's fast forwarded 2025. So
yeah, we're already there. Panthers have already won.
Obviously, it's hard to go past some of those losses, but they're getting picked apart. We see that with premiership winning sides, and it basically is just automatic. You lose a number of players each year, which they have done, and it's just been basically greatness that they've been able to do what they've been able to do for the last 3 years. There's people out there going they can't do a fourth, but why not? They've been written off the last 2 other years, and they've been able to do it. The thing I like with this gains and losses, the gains, they've recruited some sort of younger players, but they're promising players as well. They're players that have a lot of upside and potential to it. Where we've seen some of the other clubs I've spoken about today have sort of just thrown signings just for the sake of, I feel like, getting some players in. They need to fill up some numbers, where we know Alamotti's got some actual promise. We've seen that at the Dogs. We know Laurie in the right environment can actually play some decent football. And that I've been here and he's been trying to train at 5'8" as well. So he's trying to look at potentially getting that Luai spot.
Getting ready to take Luai's spot after round 10, yeah.
Riley Price from the Cowboys is a great young player, and Snyder as well, who I believe actually he started the Raiders last year and ended up going to Super League for a few, I think it was half the season. Did play some good footy and then came back over. So some good young players, and obviously Crichton's massive. I think out of that list and out of the whole of the NRL, I think that's the biggest loss, and I don't think many people are giving it the credit it deserves, because he got Penrith out of a little bit of trouble, or a fair bit of trouble on multiple occasions throughout last year. And with his kicking game, he can kick on the last, and we've seen that little grubbers to just get Penrith there as a repeat sets and the like. And I think Stephen Crichton is a huge loss.
Crichton is a huge loss and a huge pickup. Like, as you said, I think that's probably the best signing for this year. And the Bulldogs have done really well to get him there. I still think that Cogger is quite a big loss in terms of those halves when people either are injured or suspended. And I'm excited to see him back at the Knights, and hopefully he can fit into a starting side somewhere. But yeah, I think Crichton is being a little bit underrated in terms of how big of a loss that is for the Panthers. Just having a look at the re-sign. So they've got To'o, Yo, until 2027. Liam Martin as well. Moses Leota. I think there's going to be a couple of clubs that are going to try and really hard, especially if the Panthers stay within that top 4, to try and wean them off those last year of those contracts to try and get them out of the Panthers, because their salaries are only going to go up. They keep winning. I think.
Yeah.
Let's not
I
forget
think
that.
there'll be a lot of clubs that'll be holding off to really try and entice those guys over to them. And let's face it, they'll probably all end up at the Bulldogs anyway. So,
Or the Tigers. Let's not forget Nathan Cleary's young and in love and could end up over in French rugby in a couple of years anyway. So
The other big thing I want to mention on the losses is Zach Hosking, who had a great year last year. I think he's a bit of a loss for him. Obviously, you've got a fully fit Liam Martin back in the side and Sorensen, so there's no real spot for him. But Spencer Leniu, who I thought has done a really, really good job for the Panthers over the last couple of years and continue that momentum that Leota and Fisher Harris has been able to get at the start of games, and he comes on and just continues it. He's been, for mine, the best bench forward for the last probably 2 years in the NRL, and that in itself is a really big loss and a lot of pressure on some of these younger forwards coming through for Penrith to really hit the ground running, like your Maverick guys that you can see there in the re-signed. I believe he's going to get probably that shot to be that guy, and a bit of pressure early on.
what's
Even
the
with the
relation
last
there?
name, that's more.
I think
I think it's
Spencer's
his
the biggest
son.
loss for
His
sure.
son? Yeah.
Spencer Lenu's the biggest loss for sure on that list. He's touched on Crichton.
Bigger than Stephen Crichton.
Yeah, because Crichton's not a great defensive centre. I know he does some wonderful things in attack. I don't rate him as a defensive centre. I never have. So the fact they've brought in Alamotti, who also isn't a great defensive centre, is definitely going to be where their weakness is in the centres. Once again, that's where teams have beaten them before. Like playing through the middle, getting that physical grind with them. Oh, look, there's pretty much only one team that can beat them. And then spread it out wide and get some early ball and go through their centres, because they like to jam in a little bit out in their edges. So the fact they brought Alamotti in, young and experienced, you think he'd walk straight into the centres, losing Crichton. I can't see where Laurie's going to fit into the team at all. And, losing Spencer to the Roosters, who had so much mongrel in the forward pack, like, I know he's coming off the bench most of the time, wasn't he? Because they had, obviously, the starting pack there, but it was intimidating coming off the bench. And they've just lost that. Teams will pick them apart. If teams play it possibly, they'll pick them apart through the middle of the field as well when they go to their bench.
Yeah, no, I agree. Recruitment, what are we rating this one? I've got him an 8 because I do, as I said, I actually like the fact that they're young, exciting players coming through that actually they've got a role to play and can play footy. They're not just young ones that they're hoping can do something. Obviously, the losses, as I said, it's expected. The fact that they have won 3 comps in a row, they're getting picked apart. So they're always going to lose a couple of those big name players. I just think they've been able to fill the gaps quite well.
I've given them a 7. For those guys coming in, they are clear signings. They're not just signings for the sake of it. They know their role that they're going to play potentially, but also just in their re-signing column. So Dylan Edwards to 2028 is massive. Toto, we touched on till 27. Leota till 27. So they've done some really good in-house stuff there as well to try and keep those guys there whilst they can. So 7.
I've got him a 5, but I wouldn't be concerned about it, giving him a 5. It's given the fact that, not last year, but the year before, they won every single grade through the juniors. And one thing Penrith's done incredibly well over the last, we'll say, 10 years probably now, has brought their junior players through. And that's why they're such a strong club. So, look, you can't rate them too high given on what the fact they've lost. You've got a New South Wales centre. Jack Cogg obviously did some wonderful things at the end of the year. Spencer Leniu is obviously one of the best front rowers in the game. Semmons, nothing. But, sorry, Semmon, I actually don't mind Jamin as a person and as a player. He's just easy to pick on. But what they've lost there is obviously huge. So you can't say the recruitment's been great, but as Joel said, it's expected. So if they keep bringing these players through, it's a thing that's going to have to keep happening. Like, look at their off-contract list. They've obviously only signed Alamotti on a 1-year deal. If he comes and stands out for Penrith this year, which he should in that team with the best halfback in the game there, and if he works on his defence, they might be able to afford to keep him at the end of the year. There's a big possibility the more, as Jeremy said, the more these players get better, and the more they earn, they might be able to keep him. Like someone like Mitch Kenny, probably going to let go because they've got Sonny Luke there. Talon Mail, his brother pretty much come out and said all three of the brothers are going to one club, so he's gone.
Yeah.
Tyron Peachy, he's due for the Super League. Garner's starting to bounce around. He'll probably end up in the Super League as well. So it's
And Dane Laurie's only on a 1 year as well.
Yeah, and he'll be in the Super League as well. I can't see how he's going to fit in the team. He'll spend most of the year in reserve grade, besides potentially Origin time or injuries.
He might be 5'8" next year. See what happens.
Might be 5'8" after round 10. I believe they've actually, I don't know his name, but I believe they've actually got a pretty good young 5'8" coming through. And it's one of the reasons they originally let go of Cogger. I don't know what his name is. I can probably look up here their top 30 squad and work it out. But he...
To be honest, they've got very good kids coming through in every position, so it would not surprise me that they've got a couple of
strong clubs
set up perfectly out there. But that was the reason they let go of Cogger, and obviously they lost Luai as well. So they lost Cogger to obviously make him their number 3 because Cogger was their number 3 half, and then obviously they've turned around and got this young kid coming through who'll step straight in when Luai leaves, you would think.
Yeah. Positives for the premiers, the defending premiers 3 times over. Obviously, there's pretty much everything you could say about that. I've just simply summed it up as been there, done that, and they might as well do it again as well. And I like the fact that they've kept that core group together, especially for this year. You've got your Lockie Clearys, you've got Dylan Edwards, you got Yo, you got Martin, you got the forward pack there. It's all been there together now for some time, and obviously Luai for now has been there or is there for this year. We'll see what Adam's big prediction is like for this year. But yeah, I would just think they've been there, done it before. Cleary is just an absolute freak. He has every year we think he's reached his potential, and he ends the year and you think this kid's actually just gotten better. Who knows? You can't even say he's hit his ceiling yet. He's still young, and I think Origin Arena, I mean, we won't touch on that too much yet, but that is one arena where I think he needs to really consolidate himself, and can improve. So, but yeah, Penrith of mine, been there, done it. They'll do it again.
Yeah, I agree. And we haven't seen the best of Cleary. So that's what I think all rugby league fans are excited for, is to see what this guy can do, because he's probably one of the best that's ever played the game, and he's still so young. So hopefully he doesn't get his heart broken and he can continue to play good footy.
I'm hoping
that was a perfect segue. I was going to say Adam doesn't love improve your game and your performance.
Well, I'm hoping he improves in that much that he goes across to French rugby. Mary signed for PSG, and
is that where she is? Is PSG?
No, she's not. She's at Man City. But we can move her as well.
Then he's going to the Super League.
Everyone.
Well, no,
he's shipping everyone.
He's too good for the Super League, Nathan Cleary. He's not ready for that yet. I think he's good enough till he's about 34 to play in the NRL. But if he goes to French rugby, he's looking at probably $2.2 to $2.3 million a year. Still probably won't be the breadwinner in that relationship, but it's where his heart is. He should be across there. It's not that far to travel from France to England. Australia to England.
There's an issue with that. There is another Cleary brother coming through the ranks, and I think he's at SG Bull at the moment. Apparently, he is quality, and the initial talks is.
Because I hate.
No, I'm not saying better. Brother. I'm just saying his quality, from what I've been told.
Is his chin bigger? Whose chin's bigger?
I haven't seen that, but the talk is that they want to be the half and 5/8 for a few years at that Penrith club. Ooh. So I reckon Nathan will stay if his brother is looking like a chance of cracking that first grade spot in the next probably 2 to 3 years. Is what I'm hearing.
He set the standard for all men to pick sport over love. So if Nathan Cleary did it, anyone can do it.
Any concerns? I've written at an absolute stretch depth because I've just said how good their young kids are coming through. So there's a lot of pressure on their kids to perform, but that's literally all I've got.
Yeah,
I've got pressure.
Injury.
I've got pressure on.
It's like injury to their top 30.
The whole top 30.
Yeah,
top 40.
I don't think even is. I think an injury to Nathan Cleary and they're nowhere near the team that they obviously have been for the last 3 years. Like we saw when he was out at the start of when he had that whole TikTok thing, when he was out suspended. after he dropped Dylan Brown on his head. That explains what's gone wrong with Dylan Brown. And we turn around and look at everything he's done. They were pretty lucky through those periods, some of the teams they played, and the fact they had momentum on their side. So they lose Cleary, they're in trouble. I think the only other negative I can find for them is the constant pressure. The constant pressure of, they've done what they want to do. Like, I know they come out and say they want to be the team to win 4 in a row. No one's done it since St George did it when they didn't really count because there's no salary cap. But the pressure, constant pressure on them to be able to turn up every week and be able to get away with everything again, because I feel like the NRL fairy tale got them through a bit last year.
Yeah, and then the Luai thing hanging over their heads, I think that would be another con to their season.
There is definitely stuff to that, because we heard him say that Cleary's comments did get to him. He has pretty much admitted to that in sort of saying other words than that, but there is definitely a little bit of smoke there, I feel like. So it'll be interesting, but as I said, if he does leave, I feel like they've got someone coming in that can just do a job, and Cleary can be the 7 and the 6 at the same time. He's that good.
I feel like he's going to have to be this year. I obviously touched on it with my comments earlier, and I think I touched on it last podcast as well, but I don't see Luai really giving 2 fucks this year. It's as simple as I can put it. I don't think he's going to care as much after those comments that were made, and I just don't get it from Ivan Cleary. I think it comes with a bit of bitterness as well. Like, he probably knew he'd lost him at that time, but he's just won 3 comps in a row. Look, he was terrible in last year's grand final, but I don't like Luai. I hate him. Hate's a strong word. I hate him on the field. Seems like a decent enough bloke off it, what he does for his community and stuff. But the fact that he pushed through that pain and turned up, and you're 5'8", 6'1", 3 comps in a row, you don't come out and make those comments, no matter what you think of the bloke.
Coach Adam putting his coach's hat on there. You actually seen a nice, decent gentleman right there. I feel like you're a changed man all of a sudden. I'm shocked.
I'm not. I'm saying
it must be the brick wall.
That's not footy season. It's not footy season yet. I haven't got the anger of Parramatta frustrating me every week.
He's got a live audience. What's our finishing bracket for the Panthers? I've gone 1st to 4th.
Yeah, 1 to 4.
They've got to have some bad luck. 5 to 8.
Oh, there's always someone that writes them off.
They can't get every decision and every little thing go their way throughout the year.
We'll see, won't we? We will see. I'm just trying to get out of the slide here. There we go. Perfect. So that's pretty much it. That's our first lot of 2024 reviews done and dusted. So that was obviously the Bulldogs, Sharks, Cowboys, and Panthers. Once again, just a massive thank you to everyone who is supporting the page over all our social media pages, as well as YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts as well. Again, please like and subscribe to however you're either listening or watching this video. It does go a long way supporting the page, and it's completely free. And as Jess said earlier, if you want a League of Inches hat, just click on to the Facebook or the Instagram shop, even the shirts as well. All now live, and I'm telling you, the quality is actually quite good. So I'm pretty happy with how they've turned out. But boys,
you still use that promo code 9.5 inches to get a discount?
you can just chop off maybe at least.
Stop giving away our segments for this year.
Sorry.
Oh, big things coming. Before Adam gives out too much more of what we've got to come in 2024, and be excited by it. We are off. Enjoy your week. And again, thanks for all the support.